You definitely trained a lot more. Let's look at income. Had more income the entire game. I mean, you pretty much had pretty good macro there in the game. So we have this one guy who is probably going to join the next game. I'm not sure if what rank he is or whatever, if he just wants to watch. But Josh, why don't you pick the next map? And another person in the chat is saying, can I play in this King of the Hill? He sounds like he might be good, but it might just be talk. But yes, definitely. If you want to play in this King of the Hill, give me your name and character code, and I'll add you. But what map do you want to play?
How about Delta? We haven't played any Delta maps yet.
Okay, sounds good. And by viewer request, I am playing this song for you guys.
So RanGirl, another quick question. So, as a Terran player yourself, like say you're on a big map like Shakura's Plateau where it's like, kind of difficult to attack, or just a really open map in general, and your opponent's going blings and you're playing Terran, you know? I mean, obviously you probably want to go mech, right? But mech is slow and kind of immovable on a large open map. So how do you compromise these two sides?
The main strategy that you want to use on a big map is you want to set yourself up for some sort of timing where it won't matter and you can just A-click your shit. And like by that I mean either, let's say you're playing at a lower level, you just want to have better macro and have like more shit and try and pay attention to when they're not making enough shit. And when you're playing at a higher level, either that means some sort of harassment like Blue Flame Hellions or defend, like for instance, let's say they attack you or they all in you, that can set up a really good spot for a timing attack where they're not going to have any shit, and even if your stuff is real immobile, you can just A-click your stuff close to like right outside of their base and then kill them. Where if you don't get some sort of advantage sometime during the game, it's really, really tough with mech on the map because just like you said, it's real immobile, and if the Zerg just takes the third base like I did and plays the macro style, you can't really just like A-click across the map because he's just going to fungal you and blow you up with Bane lanes. So the best way I think is if you can't get any sort of advantage where you're going to kill them, like it'll be transparent when you can just attack them. You want to just kind of set up a lot of planetaries in spaces where you're not going to be able to counter. Like you kind of want to like set almost like a push where you want to be like, okay, I'm expanding towards this side of the map, and we're going to kill his expos and have planetaries like behind you, so you don't have to be splitting up your army. So that even if you are slow, he can't really like out-mobilize you because if he tries to go around your army, he just runs into a planetary. Like that stuff isn't really as big of a deal with bio because you have medevacs, but with mech you have to play like you really have to play real slow and just have like a lot of planetaries and just be like moving just like slowly across the map if you cannot set up for some sort of timing. But I mean, against the Zergs, I basically get raged on that map because they don't really make any mistakes and they don't all in me. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, like you brought up a good point. Like on large maps as Terran, I feel like say drops or Hellion harass, they're always just to build more time, to get that.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to interrupt over here. You guys can continue on this discussion in a second, but I'm thinking of actually putting Haste against Chu. They're both about 2,000 points. So one is Diamond, one is Platinum, but Chu, or Haste, I forget which one, said that his MMR is Diamond, just like Anonymous, playing against Diamond players. Thought I'd give you, Josh, a quick break from playing and a little more time to talk since you love talking.
Sure. And just as a fun fact, I think it's slowly being discovered that the difference between divisions is somewhere between 500 and 750 rating. So, like, if we say that one of them is a 1500 diamond and the other one is a 1500 platinum, it would be equivalent to about like a 1500 versus a 1000 diamond.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we're going to do this matchup. It seems like the competitors are fine with doing this. It sounds like fun. I'm going to skip this back to the future music. Huck's like, my MMR is about 3,000 diamond. I am a master. Okay, so Chu's ready. Is Haste ready? It looks like he's probably ready. I'm just going to start the game.
So Haste is going random, eh? Got the balls to go random.
Okay, so
Edward, what is your code 444? Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, it is 444.
Okay. Because I have people asking me if they can obs, and I just gave them your name and care code.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't.
They're not like friends of mine. They're just people who are asking.
From where?
I actually left my stream on from when I was playing ladder earlier, and I just like tapped in to look at your chat, and mine was still open, and and there is, can I join your game as spectator, please? Yes, no, please, please.
Oh wow, so you were streaming while we were streaming, huh?
Yeah, I was like, well, I don't know what I have. I think maybe they can hear your Skype. I know they can't hear my mic, so they can hear like Skype, what you're saying to me, but not what I'm saying, and then game sound and music. So.
Oh wow, that's funny. Well, if you want to direct them,
I don't like advertise it on TL or anything. Like it's basically just like a practice tool that I use with friends, just to like we watch each other play on ladder and just like make comments and stuff. I don't like have like a show or anything or like advertise on TL. I just kind of like throw it up and see what happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, same here. Like Anonymous and I we're roommates. Right now we're on winter break, but it's more just like, hey, let's do this streaming thing because it's fun, right? I mean, that's what this game is really about, having fun.
Yo.
Okay. Well,
oh, that's spawning pool? No, just kidding.
That was interesting. I think he just didn't want to block off his extractor, but over here for...
it's like a misclick or something.
People who missed it, I was like, spawning pool trick, to get Overlord later. What? I was very confused. But anyways, for all of you not familiar with the extractor trick, it's when Zerg builds an extractor at 10 supply, builds another drone, and then it cancels the extractor so you can have 11 drones and then build an Overlord. Some say that it helps them with larva management. Usually it's easier management for a rush. From what I'm hearing, it doesn't really matter in mid-game. It's more like early on if you really need some extra minerals. It's usually part of a specific build order. What do you think about the extractor trick, RanGirl?
Well, it's really, really interesting because in StarCraft 1, you would always build drones up to your Overlord and then just build it. And now in StarCraft 2, people figured out, well, if you wait and you build your Overlord before your last drone, that's more efficient. And there's actually a new post now that people are like being really big nerds and like computing the actual differences. And actually, if you build 10 drones, then Overlord, and then Extractor Trick only once, and then Overpool on 11 for a fast queen, it's actually the most efficient economic build. And this is something that's like fairly new, and I actually started using it just because I just started learning Zerg like now, so this is basically the only thing I know. But it's kind of interesting to point out that Chu is like aware of this build, and this is something that's fairly new that you don't see all Zergs do. So in general, if you do the extractor trick, you should always be 11 pooling because you're doing it basically to get that fastest queen out. But if you're not gonna 11 pool, if you're hatch firsting, then you shouldn't be doing extractor trick.
Yeah, from what I heard, 9 Overlord is usually best for like larva management if you're not doing anything funky.
Right. And from what I heard, this is not the best map for ZVP, essentially because the same reason that it's not a good map for ZVT, because it's really hard for Zerg to respond. They don't know when they can make units and when they can make drones with their larva, because both players' naturals expansions are basically just like 1 or 2 screens away. So Zerg has to be really, really on top of their game scouting and figuring out what their opponent's doing. And so it's really tough. Like, I think this is a map where you should always sack an Overlord into your opponent's base to see how many gateways, when they took their gas, stuff like that. So unless the Zerg is going to like all in or something, you got to be real careful with when you're building drones, when you build, you know, you should always like probably play safer, build extra spine crawlers. Like you see, what's kind of interesting is Chu, although his opening is really good, you should be pulling drones off gas here, and he has saved up like 250 gas, and he's going to need probably a lot more minerals here. He's going to run out of minerals after his hatch comes up, and he's going to probably skyrocket on the gas. So most Zerg players, you should always be pulling your drones off gas early, because he's going to kind of choke himself where he has a lot of larva, and he can't really use all that larva because he doesn't have enough minerals.
You know, one interesting thing that I noticed about Haste is that he is not walling off. Usually as Protoss, the only matchup as speaking as a Protoss player that I really wall off is against Zerg, because of the possibility of the speeding run by. I mean, he does have a sentry over there, but I feel like, you know, sometimes you can be busy doing other things and get caught off guard. What do you think about it?
I don't play too much Protoss on ladder, but I always wall in PvZ. It's just a really safe option. There's not a whole lot of reason not to do it. It's not like, because against Protoss, walling in might be bad because it's hard to defend your ramp against range units, but Zerg doesn't really have any like far range units that can assault the ramp. So there's really no reason that you shouldn't be walling off. Haste was the random player, the Protoss player, right? The Zerg was not random, or was the Zerg random?
Correct. Haste was the random player.
Okay, because that might be one reason he didn't wall off, because the other guy was random, so he didn't know he was Zerg. But if the other guy was Zerg, then I'm not too sure about it. Yeah. But I would almost always generally wall off. And also, it's a lot easier to conceal your tech. Like, early on, Chu could have just ran speedlings in and just, once again, saw exactly what he's doing. So, I mean, he didn't... I'm not sure, like, let me look at his view real quick. Yeah, he basically has no idea what he's doing other than an expansion, but if you wall off, it's a lot harder for the Zerg to see what you're doing. And let's say a really tough example is either DTs or 4-gate. Against a 4-gate, you want to cut gas and get a lot of lings. Against DTs, you want to cut lings and get a lot of gas for a fast layer. And if he can run in and see if you're not going DTs, you're not going 4-gate, it makes it a lot easier for the Zerg to do, just, you know, to make drones at the proper times.
Yeah, you can definitely see right now that the Zerg is kind of getting choked up on minerals here. Like he has a bunch of larvae. His minerals stacking up a little bit here. Too much gas.
Yeah, Haste is getting his second expansion up. It also looks like he's going for Colossi tech, which looks like it will counter basically everything. That Chu does have his in his army right now. He does have his lair up, though. I'm wondering what next tech option he's going to go for.
I bet you Mutilus.
Especially with all that, I don't know, he's not getting that much gas. If you were going Mutas, I think you would try to get as much gas as possible early on.
I think so too, but I think he's going Mutilus. That's the ideal way, but he knows that he put down the expansion here for the Protoss, so he's probably going to do some Mutilus harass in the back, I bet you.
Well, he's getting an Evo chance. The easy way to tell is if the Zerg is upgrading roach speed, and he's almost done with roach speed, because normally you don't have that much gas. So right when your layer finishes, if you're going ground, then you upgrade roach speed. But if you plan on switching to mutas, then you save it and don't get it later. And he just finished it, and he's also building a Nidus. So I think it's definitely a good idea to transition to mutas later. I don't think you just don't necessarily need to build it right now to say you're going mutas, but I think in general he's probably going to save it for the late game. But I definitely agree with you with the fact that it would be a good situation to go mutalist, just because that back natural is so hard to defend, and it just keeps this stuff if the Protoss has stuff and if Haste has stalkers and sentries,
he's going into the Nidus, by the way.
Yeah, he is. Is it down yet? I don't have my games on there.
Yeah, no, he's going into... I'm guessing it's going to go to that expansion, though.
There's an Overlord in the expansion.
Yeah. So he's going to be Nidusing over here.
I guess that's an option, too. I mean, for me, I don't play that much Zerg, but, knowing this spawn location...
Ooh, Haste already, is aware of the possibility. I don't know, I don't think he scouted the Nidus.
Well, there was no Nidus, but you know he was getting pretty close to that extractor, way too close to that extractor, assimilator. So
It's just like, well, if I can kill an Overlord, why not kill an Overlord, right?
exactly, I think he's gonna go for another try here with an Overseer,
Yeah.
or throw in a